You have to see how big it is. Check this out. All of this gets donated to the most vulnerable children and women around Melbourne and Victoria. Hi, my name is Megan Jaworski and welcome to The Change Collective, inspiring, educating and creating positive social change. I'm really excited because today I am very honoured to be interviewing the incredible woman that is the founder and CEO of St Kilda Mums, Jessica MacPherson. Welcome to the show, Jessie.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Excellent. Now, for those at home who are not aware of St Kilda Mums, maybe you live interstate or you haven't heard of them before, they're an incredible organisation, and I know that you are going to walk away from this interview feeling inspired and educated, but also with practical tips that you can apply to your own life. So, Jessie, can you please share with everybody watching, what is St Kilda Mums and how did you get started?
Sure. So St Kilda Mums is a network of families who really care about making the world a safer place for all children. So we accept donations of maternity items, so not clothing, but all the things that you need to get ready to expect to welcome a baby into the world. So nursery goods like prams and cots and car restraints. We also do clothing and toys, breast pumps and bouncers, and just all the little things that you need when you're expecting a baby. Or sadly, many of the families we help have already had a baby and they need some support. So we do this by recycling as much as we can. And in fact, last year, 98% of everything we distributed was actually donated to us.
That's incredible.
So we have a huge focus on recycling, a huge focus on providing practical support. And our point of difference is that we do that in partnership with social services. So everything that we distribute is done through a social worker or a maternal child health nurse or some kind of family support worker.
Yeah. So the families that need it the most are the ones that are getting it.
Absolutely. And that way we can strengthen the support that they're already receiving, perhaps from a homelessness service or a family violence service. We see ourselves as in the background, part of the solution for these families in crisis. An important part, because oftentimes these services don't have any budget for these types of items, and there's very little government funding around for nursery equipment. Ideally, every new mum would have everything she needs to bring her baby home from hospital well before the due date, but unfortunately in a large number of cases we're not contacted for help until after the baby is born. There are some cases where the families had no antenatal care whatsoever. And there's lots of reasons why people need a little bit of help at this particularly vulnerable time, but about a third of all the families we help have experienced family violence. A third of them might be experiencing homelessness or be at risk of homelessness in uncertain housing, and about a third are refugees or migrants or asylum seekers who are isolated, living on sometimes no income whatsoever or very meagre stipend, and you know, poverty is grinding. But you know, for a lot of families, there's really no way out of that. So,
of course. And let's face it, having a baby is really expensive.
Yes, having a baby is expensive, and I think particularly for families where they have you know, 2 or 3 children very close together in age, because if you have a 1-year-old and your second pregnancy turns out to be twins, well, then you're going to need a triple pram, and a triple pram is $2,000, and even second hand, they're somewhere between $800 and $1,000 second hand, because there's so few of them made. So yeah, we really rally our network of supporters and our volunteers to respond to the need. And we started nearly 11 years ago now. And
I just want to pause here and congratulate you. It is not easy to run a not-for-profit, and they've been going for nearly 11 years. And so I think that is incredible. And you've grown so much over that time. The warehouse is massive. And how many people do you employ here?
Well, we've got 1 part-time staff member for every 100 volunteers.
Oh, wow. So that means you've got a lot of volunteers.
Yeah, we do. We have a huge number of volunteers, and And we've always had a model of volunteering that's incredibly flexible.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, we started this when my daughter was 2 and my son was newborn. So, and for the first 5 years...
You started it with a newborn baby?
Yes.
Wow. So what
Yes.
made you actually decide to start this? What was your driving force? Like your... what motivated you?
It was a very... there was never any intention to end up where we are today. It was simply that my son had outgrown some of his preemie clothing and preemie nappies, and I offered them to my maternal child health nurse.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, can you just pop those things in the photocopying room?" Now, I wasn't the only parent who had that idea.
Yeah.
Living in St Kilda, you sometimes see families that are in very real, obvious need.
Yeah.
And
St Kilda's got a real large group of people, doesn't it?
yeah, very diverse. But
That's the
think
word I was looking for.
The
diverse.
reason why you see need is there are a number of boarding houses and sort of crisis accommodation places where women fleeing violence are often put into kind of temporary motels, for want of a better word. There's also there's specific counselling for specific needs. We of course have women who are exploited as sex workers. Often very young women are exploited by the people who are meant to be caring for them, and they end up on the streets in St Kilda. So, there is some real need that we see, and I wasn't the only parent who had this idea, and the nurses were grateful for the donations, but they didn't have time to sort anything. And when I took my donations into the photocopying room, it was just overflowing with those horrible grey plastic bags from Coles, and they could never find anything when they needed it, and it was just, a lot of the stuff had been there for a long time and was starting to smell. So I volunteered to get a group of girlfriends together and clean out the photocopying room, and the nurses were delighted.
Of course.
We spent the day there. We all had babies and toddlers, and in between nappy changes and breastfeeds and plays and sleeps, we managed to sort out the photocopying room. And probably the spark for me was the delight from the nurses, because I could see that I had done something with the time and the skill that I had, with the flexibility I needed. I had made a huge difference to them.
And I think when you have young children, I know I've worked with a lot of clients of mine, and it can really change your identity, and you can feel like you want a sense of purpose outside of raising your baby. And so this would have really fulfilled not only others, but also you as well. I can imagine, and the other women volunteering too.
Oh, we were all hooked.
We were
all hooked. And I think the thing is that what St Kilda Mums does is it values the knowledge that we have. When you expecting your first baby and you do all that research on what you're going to buy, and you buy the best quality pram you can possibly afford, and you chat to all your girlfriends, and you create an Excel spreadsheet, and you make yourself an expert on child safety. So we were able to apply the unique skills that we had to the situation. And at that point in time, I thought, well, we can do more of this. There's more of this that can be done. So, for the first 5 years, it was entirely volunteer run and just a very small community organisation. And at that time, we were helping about 1,000 babies each year.
That's a lot.
And, well, as a community effort, it was incredible. We had, 300 or 400 volunteers at that time all contributing.
300 or 400 volunteers?
Wow, some
amazing.
And we've always had a very kind of flexible idea of volunteering. So you can be a volunteer at St Kilda Mums, and we might only see you once a year, but the volunteer role that you have is really important. Like you maintain our Google AdWords account. Charities have got $10,000 worth of free Google AdWords to spend each month. It's actually very difficult to do that unless you're highly skilled. So we welcome all sorts of volunteers, but we were helping 1,000 babies a year, and 6 years on, since we've been able to rent some warehouses and employ some staff, we're now helping 20,000 babies every year. So 20-fold growth as a direct result of scaling up, of having a dedicated space to do all the work in, and having some really of the most skilled volunteers stepping into paid roles where it's their job to make sure that the warehouse is safe, that volunteers are properly inducted and trained, that corporate teams, so we welcome corporate teams, that workplace teams, when they come in, they're closely supervised, because of course they don't know what we do and how we do it. So it's incredible to think there's now over 20,000 babies and children that we helped in the last year, and nearly 6,000 of those were younger than 12 months of age.
Oh, wow.
So we now reach about a third of all babies born into poverty in Victoria.
A third of all?
Yes.
Wow, so 1/3 of all babies born into poverty right here.
Yeah. But there's still so much to do, because...
Well, there's the other 2/3, right?
Well, there's the other 2/3 of babies born into poverty, but there's actually 198,500 children under the age of 14 living in poverty in Victoria. So we're really only, a small way of the way of getting through to all of those.
So is that part of your mission? Is you want to help children older than the baby age group as well?
Absolutely, and we have been supporting children of all primary school ages. All this time we actually rehome clothing up to size 16, children's size 16 now, because some 12-year-olds are very tall and need larger clothing. We're very focused on the needs of babies, but oftentimes the families do have older children in the family.
They need support too.
They need support. So we don't do things like school uniforms, but we do clothing bags, and we do toy bags and book bags and craft packs and things that older children need. Yeah. And if the social work is delivering, the pram, the cot, the car seat, and a whole heap of things for the new baby, we think it's only fair that the older children get gift as well.
Of course, they would like that too.
Yes.
I think that's wonderful, because then the whole family feel like they're being supported as well. Yeah, so I'm going to change things up a little bit and talk more about yourself.
Okay.
Which I honestly believe you're incredible, because to get something like this and keep it running for 10 years and to keep growing and to find donations and also the logistics of it all too. Yes. It would be incredible. So I'm curious, how do you stay on top of your own well-being, your emotional, your mental well-being? Because so many of my clients and the audience watching, we talk a lot about mindset. And if you're running a business or a not-for-profit or a social enterprise, our mindset is so important. And I know you would have had challenges.
Yes.
So what helps you get through?
Look, I think the main motivation is just doing good. Right.
Yeah, so focusing on others.
Yeah. When you receive, I received a text message this morning, and it was from a social worker who said that, and she was picking up an order. If she wasn't picking it up, the order was about to be dispatched, and she wanted to get an extra bag of baby girl clothing added to the order for a colleague of hers, a co-worker, who had just discovered a family with a 2-week-old baby girl with absolutely nothing. Like nothing. Nowhere for the baby to sleep, nothing to transport the baby safely in, no clothing, no bedding. And all they were asking for was a bag of clothing. Now, if that's not motivation to get up every day and go to work, I don't know what kind of motivation there would be there, because I'm sure anyone listening to this now would say, oh my God, I'll go out and I'll go and buy the baby clothing, or I'll talk to my friends, I'll be able to collect a bundle of baby clothing. So, that's the primary motivation.
So I want to stop you there. So often we get so focused on ourselves, especially for those running a business. And I think this is a really good point to make, that in order to keep motivated after rejection, or, when times get tough, just keep focusing on who you're serving. Just keep focusing on the good that you're giving out there, because that's what you're doing it for. And if you're not doing it for that, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it, if it always becomes about you, then I don't think it's going to thrive as much. Maybe that's the key to the success of St Kilda Mums, is that you've always made it about the people you're serving. And is there anything else you do to take care of yourself at all?
Well, I'll tell you what I did on the car on the way in today.
Okay, tell me.
Well, I knew I was going to be speaking with you, and I knew that some of your questions were about, what do you do to motivate you. And I have recently started listening to a lot of podcasts. So up until May this year, I was living and working in St Kilda, and I had a 5-minute bike commute, and that is the best best meditation. Riding a bike to work is the best meditation in the world. So that's the best thing. But when you have to drive, like I do for 35 minutes every day, I started listening to podcasts.
Yeah, is there a particular podcast
Well,
you'd like to share?
yes, I put on my hot hit. My favourite one is actually Gary V. And
Gary V's amazing.
Yeah, okay, explicit warning, do not listen to Gary V with the kids in the car.
Yeah, he's known to drop the F-bomb, people.
Yeah, a lot. But he was talking, I find him incredibly positive.
Yes.
And he was talking about the fact that the world today has never been better. Like, poverty has been eradicated in so many parts of the world. As something like in the 1960s, half the world lived in poverty, and today it's a lot less than half. I don't know the exact, but it might be 10% of the world lives in poverty decreasing today. That's right. And some diseases have been almost completely eradicated, like polio, for example. So the world has never been better. And he has a very, very positive way of looking at things. Yeah. And he talks about there being two people in the world. There are the positive people, and then there are the people who complain. Yeah. And you just have to pick your camp.
Yes, because it is always our choice, and this is what I always say. You get to choose when it's a bit like that the glass half full or half empty. Yeah. We get to choose how we see the world.
Exactly.
So I think that's brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so somebody wants to start up their own social enterprise or not-for-profit or business, or they're currently in the early stages. Yes. What advice would you give them really quickly? What would you say?
First of all, find out if there's already somebody else addressing the cause that you're really passionate about. And I think it would be very unlikely that there wasn't somebody already doing what you want to do, and volunteer for them. Yes. And
why reinvent the wheel, right?
Well, no, it's just, even if you are going to end up creating your own new organisation, the volunteering experience that you will have will be really valuable to you. And, be really upfront about it as well. Like, volunteer for that organisation and go and speak to them and say, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to come here and volunteer with you and learn about how you're addressing the cause, because it might be that there doesn't need to be a brand new solution to this problem. It might be that charity that you're volunteering for could be inspired by your recommendations, and they could start a pilot project within their organisation that you could head up. Yes. That you could be the patron for, the ambassador for, because it is actually really very hard work to do all the things that you got to do, because you've got to, in the early days, you've got to put together a committee of management. You've got to have at least 5 people here in Victoria. There's got to be at least 5 people to form an incorporated association. And you really should have a lawyer, an accountant, and some people with some skills on that board. And then you've got to convince 4 people to be willing to dedicate as much time as you're willing to dedicate. Yeah. And when people ask me this, I say, well, actually, it was about 20 hours a week. For all 5 of us, for about 6 years.
Yeah, so that's 2 full-time people essentially working.
Exactly. And volunteering and trying to squeeze that in around your family life. So it's fantastic to get that experience with another charity that's addressing the cause and addressing the need. And how proud would you be if the pilot project that you spearheaded within a larger organisation was successful and got picked up, because it's going to be much easier to get philanthropic support for a project within an established charity, perhaps, than start something new. Yeah. But I don't want to discourage people from starting something new either.
If I know that people out there are watching and you're thinking, I really want to support St Kilda Mums because they're doing such a phenomenal job, what is the best way that they can support the incredible work that you do?
Oh, thank you for asking. There's lots of different ways that people can get involved. Volunteering, donating your time, donating your much-loved baby goods to us.
And can I just say, it's such a beautiful thing. I just put out a message in my mum's group after I had my first baby saying, hey, I'm going to do a warehouse drop for St Kilda Mums who would like to donate. I ended up getting, I think it was about 5 garbage bags full of things that I just piled up in my car, drove out to St Kilda and just delivered it. It honestly wasn't that hard, but it makes such a big difference. Yes. Just something small like that.
That's right. Well, Melbourne is a very big city. I don't know, are all of your viewers going to be living here, or are they going to be all over Australia?
No, they're all over Australia. Some people are overseas as well.
Well, that's a really important segue, because on our website, we'd love you to go to our website, stkildamums.org. We'd love you to sign up for our newsletter. And at the bottom of the homepage of the website, there's an easy place to sign up for the newsletter, and also all the links out to our social platforms that we're active on.
Brilliant.
But there's also a page underneath the contact on the main nav, which is called Sister Organisations, and it lists all of our sister organisations around the world. So there's now several other charities doing what we do here in Victoria, in every other state in the ACT.
So you can support them.
Yeah, but also there's little more in Auckland, there's several organisations in the States, and in the UK there's a whole network. There's dozens of what they call baby banks in the UK.
Yeah.
So find the organisation that's close to you, and you can support them.
And also financially, do you take donations as well?
Absolutely. Money is so essential.
Yes.
It's really critical for us to be able to pay our rent and keep our volunteers safe.
So if you don't even live near Melbourne to do a clothes drop-off, then donate money.
Yeah, and we've got a really easy way that people can get involved in community fundraising. So maybe throwing an event to benefit St Kilda Mums, throwing a baby shower for,
that's wonderful for a baby that you don't know.
The baby that you don't know. And actually quite often people will throw a baby shower because one of their I don't know, actors or musicians that they really, really admire is having a baby. So we were the beneficiaries of several Beyonce baby showers a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
amazing. It's just fun.
Idea.
It's a great way for you to get together with your girlfriends and for a good cause as well, and eat some delicious food.
There's also, if you've got children in kinder or primary school or even high school, there's ways to get involved by doing a donation drive for goods, by doing some kind of fundraising. We've been the beneficiary of a number of sort of ladies' days and mums' night out and things that are organised, social occasions that are organised through workplaces and community groups. We also welcome students from local high schools, so we regularly have groups of school kids that come in and spend the day volunteering with us. So we have a whole volunteering program.
Did you hear that? So mums, if you've got kids and you're feeling, that they need to broaden their awareness and give back to people, then this is a great way to get your kids involved and to get a real idea of what serving others is all about, which is so important.
Well, the other thing is, the important thing we haven't spoken about is children and babies are always welcome to volunteer with their mothers here. So we've got 2 play areas, we've got change facilities and facilities to welcome babies. You can just have the pram packed next to you as you're working.
So if you are feeling a bit alone and you're a new mum at home, then you can bring your baby in and hang out with some other incredible people and volunteer too. So I think it's just so beautiful that you saw a problem, you saw a solution, and you actually did something about it. You took action. And so often it is so easy for us to, walk past somebody in need and turn a blind eye, or to think that the solution is too great for us to even handle. But they didn't start with where they're at 10 years, we're now 10 years later. They just started small. Start where you're at. Start with the needs that you see before you. And I think that is such a beautiful place to begin. So I want to end with this one question. Yes. There's 7 billion people in this world, and you somehow, magically, we found technology that you can share a message to every single person, but you've only got 30 seconds. What would you say if you had that special microphone to reach the entire population? What's one message?
I would just say be kind. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Yes. And if everyone's kind, then there's no problems.
Yes, I love that. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Yeah. That's it. I think that's the best message that I think we can ever have,
Yeah. And I guess if your audience are, if you have businesswomen, people with small businesses, and the business of business is to do good. So make sure that you have your values embedded into your business, that you write them down, that you're really clear about them and you live by them, because I know that our values at St Kilda Mums guide us every day and make it very easy to make decisions. Yes. And I think
that's a message that we can all take into our own lives. When we know our values and they're, you said, embedded into who you are and your culture, then you're going to be kind. If you've got the right values, I guess. And it's going to be easy to make decisions and to keep growing. So, Jessie, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure everybody got something out of it. I would love for you to comment below. What is one key takeaway that you got from this interview? Because I'm sure Jessie would love to hear from you too. And remember to check out St Kilda Mums and to support the most vulnerable. So thank you for watching The Change Collective, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Bye.
Thank you.